This episode of Small Business Leaders Podcast is brought to you by Adams Lane Photography. Hi, and welcome to this episode of Small Business Leaders Podcast, coming to you from the Legacy Podcast Studio in Kernersville, North Carolina. My name is Audra Adams, and this is my co-host, Lamar Powell.
Hi, and welcome to this episode. We have in our studio today Art and Wendi Johnson. They own a farm called Dewberry Farm. They have an incredible story, and we can't wait to hear it.
Hi, and welcome to the show. We have Art and Wendi Johnson here, and they are the owners of Dewberry Farms in Kernersville, North Carolina. And there's a lot to get into with what y'all do. You're into everything, seriously.
We try not to be.
But you have not succeeded. That's the only thing you have not succeeded in doing is you do really have a vast number of things that you offer at your farm. And I have had the privilege to go to your farm multiple times and be in a photography kind of way. And it's just second to none. There's so many places.
And I also know they're very hard workers because I haven't, when I found out where the farm was located, because I passed that way quite a bit.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to go find that today. So I rode by there getting ready for this podcast, and they're out in the field working.
I know.
So they spotted me too. They wondered they saw my little blue car.
It's like this another looky-loo.
Yeah,
So.
I'm a looky-loo.
You're a looky-loo. Yeah, you mentioned that you just jumped in the shower and came right here, which is what we love. So I want to kind of always start with, number one, how long have you both been at Dewberry Farms?
So do you want the whole?
I want anything you want to say.
So
Yeah, I mean.
The farm's been in my family since 1925. My grandfather purchased the farm and raised the 7 boys that he had there on the farm. And so my dad is the last of the 7 boys, and he lives on the farm, and he just turned 100 this year.
Stop.
So next year we're going to be a 100-year or centennial farm. And so we're excited about that.
Are you doing something special for that?
I think we will. We haven't talked about it. I mean,
You
don't
have
have
to
any
celebrate.
plans.
I know we're trying to brainstorm to see what we can do.
Well, that was one of my questions, because as I was doing a little bit of research, I saw you're coming up on 100 years. That's incredible to me. So you're gonna have to do something special for that.
So,
and to get that certification, it has to be in blood for 100 years, which the farm has. Yeah.
Wow.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Nice. So your dad still lives on the farm, and then.
Yeah, and Mom does too. She's 98. Can't forget about her.
Oh, Lord.
And they'll sit out on the front porch and watch all the goings on, and they're amazed at what we're able to do and how many people come to the farm. So I guess my grandfather passed away in like 52.
Okay.
So a long time ago, and grandmother remarried and moved to Colfax, and the farm sat vacant for a number of years.
Okay.
So, but we lived right on Old Valley, about a half a mile up the road. We always went to the farm, hunted, got our Christmas tree, cut firewood and stuff like that. And I was like, my whole childhood, I was like, one day I'm going to have a house back on the farm, because the original farmhouse burned down around 1961 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and the old barn was always still there, and the tobacco barns and stuff like that, because it was the tobacco farm.
Right.
And things happened in a way that we were able to purchase about 3.5 acres from my grandmother while she was in a rest home, and we built the house that we currently live in. And
Which is beautiful, by the way.
well, thanks. So
Right.
that was in '89,
Okay.
and we basically lived there. Now, Wendi is my second wife, and so my daughter had horses. We had a horse riding ring, and that's the lawn area where the pergola is, where we have a lot of weddings. Mm-hmm. We turned that horse riding ring into a place for Wendi and I to get married in 2007.
That's why.
Yeah, that's why we got into the wedding business.
And look at his eyes
so
twinkling.
I
when
know.
he
And hers
said-
too.
I know.
So
It's sweet.
That's great.
So we met at church. Her husband had passed away, and so I'm hogging this whole thing.
No,
I know he was really good at it.
I promise we're gonna get
So-
both ways.
So we started having people ask. We had friends that had came to our wedding or saw our pictures and started to ask. So we did a couple of weddings for friends or people that we knew, and then we was like, we could do something with this.
What were you doing for work at that time, though?
I have been an electrical contractor since '85.
Wow.
I just retired this June.
Congratulations.
Thanks. It's
Very
well overdue.
excited.
So she is excited with all the opportunities since I'm there all the time. So
Do you have honey-do lists?
I do.
That's okay.
she always has.
Now, Wendy, what was your vocation before?
I worked for a chiropractor in Greensboro.
I love chiropractors.
Yes, they're important.
I needed one yesterday. I said that out loud too
Yeah.
to my family. And you had that was just a long-term.
Since, yeah, I'm not very good with dates, but yeah, since I've been there for a long time.
So were you able to just, did the farm sustain you?
Yeah,
being
so
able
once
to-
we started doing weddings, I quit the
Okay.
chiropractic office.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And
Weddings are all-encompassing kind of creatures of their own.
it was too hard to, I'd like to get back to people, and it's just too hard to work full time and then try to do something like that on the side.
I
And
can
luckily we've
imagine.
been, we started off very busy. So at the time, I mean, we're on our 14th year now.
It's 2011 when we started doing them.
There wasn't very many venues,
No.
our farm's doing this now. Of course, there's a lot. So we were quite busy.
But
Yeah,
yours is
I think
very.
it's a neat thing with these venues for a lot of reasons because I've seen
There's
yeah.
a picture of you.
that as an option for people is just really amazing. I've seen some beautiful properties that have some amazing places and buildings to do that. So I'm real thankful people
So
provide that.
this particular
That is
picture
cool.
that Daniel and I took several years back, and this was also a first marriage for one and second marriage for the other, and these are the children peeking in on
That's
them, which was so incredibly cute. So you have now a chapel. I mean, tell us all that you've built on the farm in this short amount of time. I know because I've been there, but they don't out in the
And
world.
I don't know either. I'm just a looky-loo. So
You're never going to live that one down.
no, I'm not. That's all right.
You're gonna call Art-
I'm going to wear it.
You're going to call Art one day.
Make a shirt with that on.
Say, hi, Art. I'm the looky
It's the
loo.
looky-loo.
Yeah.
Well, you just come on up to the house and get out.
Now I'm going to have
Do
to.
you drink coffee?
Oh, yes.
Okay, y'all are friends.
Okay. So,
It's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
First,
my daughter
first
made-
thing in the morning, though.
Yeah. Well, my daughter just made me that when she works at a local coffee shop and put a
That's
love
sweet.
note on it for
Aw.
her dad. So she better.
Yeah.
Yeah. you're right.
So with what you've added since the house, tell us a little bit about that.
So I would say in about 2010, we added a pavilion out back of the house, which is a white structure that'll hold like 64 people for a meal or whatever. And it is an open air pavilion with curtains on it. That was one of our first things we did. And of course, we had done some stamped concrete work and other just standard concrete work. And then we had started using a tent up against the backside of we call it the banquet room, which used to be a really nice size 2-car garage, but no longer.
No.
And so we eventually built a veranda on the back of that, more of a permanent cover. And we still use a tent off the back side of that to give us additional coverage space. And then we did the concrete area down at the fireplace in the courtyard down at the basement level of the house.
And it's so beautiful.
And so it's kind of became its own little room down there, exposed. And
It has a fireplace, and we use it a lot for rehearsal dinners or like we call it what do we call it?
cocktail hour.
Cocktail hour.
Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense.
I mean, they
Yep.
can't have real like liquor, but anyway, yes. So it's down there with their appetizers, and that seems to work well. It's just a little different area than where the rest of the reception will be.
Yes.
And in 2009, when the economy got really bad, I didn't have a lot going on in my contracting, so I was like, this is a chance for me to build a barn for my horses and equipment, etc., which is this now. And so in 2011, we were just finishing it up because we cut the trees down, had a sawmill come in. We sawmilled all the lumber ourselves.
Oh, my
We built the
goodness.
barn ourselves. Me and a guy that worked for me and my dad and my brother-in-law. And so we had just got it closed in, walls up, and was about to start on installing 4 horse stalls
Sure.
and start using it. Well, we had a wedding, and it was a total rain out. So we was like, well, we've got to do something for this poor girl because we didn't have a tent then or anything.
Well, we didn't have a space big enough for the ceremony for rain.
Right.
I mean, we have 150. Yeah, we didn't have all that space, but we have now coverage for 150 people for a reception, but we didn't have anything for a ceremony.
Yeah. So
So
it was kind of like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we was like, okay, it's not going to let up. So we got 2 horse trailers. We backed up to the barn because I had lumber, equipment, junk just stacked in the barn. And we cleared all that out, raked the dirt floor, set up some white chairs, and had her wedding in there. And I said, Wendy, do not post those pictures. Because I knew what was about to happen. So, of course, she posted the pictures, and she immediately started getting questions, is the barn an option?
Right.
Well, no, it's a barn. But I lost my barn.
Tell me you built another
I
one.
don't
for
see
No.
horse stalls
No.
or a tractor.
No.
So we continue to use the little horse stall barn that we have had since 94 or so, which is all we need for the horses. They just make a mess. And then we've started using the original barn on the property for more of the equipment stuff, which is down beside Daddy's house because he's not doing a whole lot right now other than
Living. He's living.
yeah, he's hanging on. So he's doing
Congratulations
great.
to him for that. Yeah.
He's doing
Yeah.
great.
Wow. That's a story. And when did you decide to put the pews and everything in?
So after we had been using it for a couple years, we had been looking,
Okay.
but I wanted 19. We have 19 of them in there, and I wanted them all to be the same. So it took a while to find them, but we found them. They were in Fayetteville. We hooked up our horse trailer again and drove down there and picked them up and came back. They weren't together, so we had to put them together. But they're really cool because they're old. So it's
Now,
neat.
on the farm, y'all, obviously we've spoken about some horses. Tell us about the animals that are on the farm.
So we have the quarter horses, and then we have a miniature horse, a small pony.
You're speaking all my languages right now.
Yeah, but hang on a minute. It's
What?
not fair to the animals. So you got how many? 3 quarter horses?
We had 3. We just had one pass.
Okay.
So we're at 2 full-size quarter horses.
And what are their names?
That's Taz and Shaker.
Okay.
Shaker is the Palomino, which a lot of people use for pictures and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
They're
It's great.
beautiful.
Yeah. And then we have a small Appaloosa pony. Her name is Lucy. And then we have a miniature horse who's black and white. Her name is Trixie because she's a little trickster. And then we have Baby, who is a miniature donkey. And then we have 2 baby doll sheep, Anna and Bob. And then we have some.
No, I love the names because I saw that
love these
online. I
names.
wrote them all down. I think this is really cool. I want to hear about them.
And then we got 7 goats, just Boer Nubian mix.
Are they miniature goats or
No,
they?
they're standard
They're
size
standard.
goats. So,
And they do have names, but I can't
Don't
really
worry.
tell you their
I'm not
names.
interested in the goat names.
Yeah.
Our granddaughters name them all the time and change it.
And then we have Emma.
Who's Emma?
She's our Scottish Highland cow.
I've
So-
got to come there again and see.
She's precious.
So tell me the relationship that you have. I mean, are you more the animal person, or are you both, or are like?
I think we
I love
both
this
are.
Look. This look is a given right here.
I wanted the cow.
Yeah.
I kind of, he had
We
horses.
have most of the animals because of you.
I know, that's true.
So.
But he won me over because he had horses.
Oh, how? Okay, tell me how.
Well, so like you mentioned, my husband had passed away, and but we knew each other kind of from church.
Mm-hmm.
We sat on different sides. And so he started calling me and stuff, and I'm like, I just wasn't ready. And then finally,
He wore you down.
He did. And then he would say, would you want to come see my horses? So
With a nice dinner after or before?
Whatever.
I think
Whatever it takes.
so. I was like, oh, you have horses? So anyway,
Did you used to ride as a child, or did
I
you grow
did.
up? Okay.
Yeah.
How was that you took riding lessons, or your family owned horses?
So I grew up in California.
What
in
part?
Southern California, but at the foothills,
Okay.
where there's a lot of lemon and orange groves. And at the time, there was a lot of space. A lot of people had horses, and that you just ride. They had like bridle trails that you would ride on. So
Fun fact: I learned to ride horses in California too.
you did?
I did.
What part?
Marysville. It's northern.
Okay.
Yuba City
Okay.
area, right? That's right, Daniel. Right? Yeah. Okay. So my uncle lived out there, and my family sang, and we would go out and do a West Coast trip for 2 months at a time, twice a year. And so we would get to see my Uncle Ben. And so he had horses, and he was like, "You're going to learn how to ride a horse." And I was like, "All right, I'm into it." And these horses they would jump, they would do it all. And he taught me how, and I fell in love with it. And the only way sometimes they would send us like 10 miles to go get something from the store and then ride back. When we
Oh
were
my
like
goodness.
14 years old, it was very, very irresponsible of them. Completely irresponsible. But the greatest memories
I bet so.
of that, and I still remember the horse's name was Rocky, that I loved the best. He had the smoothest like trot and gallop ever. So anyway,
Fun.
I'm
Yes.
glad you enjoyed all that.
Why?
All I had was bad experiences with horses.
Really?
I love them. I think they're beautiful. I wish I'd had more pleasant experiences with them. But my wife had a horse that would follow me because she can ride too.
Oh, really?
Heather rides too. But we were in the mountains somewhere, and I mean it was like steep. Her horse kept biting my horse.
yeah, they do that.
Yeah, they do that, and I couldn't control the horse. I didn't know anything about
do
it, so
do
I'm
that.
like, and it starts bucking and
Oh
acting up.
dear.
So I'm getting more to your story, and this is
This
things.
is-
No,
yeah.
but this is I'm
I'm glad
lighting
you have
up
horses.
Yeah.
because I follow now. I watch every day a YouTuber and a TikToker or whatever. Her name is Katie Vince. Like, I don't care if I'm saying it on camera because I love her. If you ever see it, and she has quarter horses. That's all, and she breeds them, and they're Congress worthy,
Okay.
like champion horses. But then they have the brood mares, and I've learned so much about the genetics of how they decide to do that. And then she started a whole mini farm as well. So then there's miniature donkeys who I've watched for the past year, and they were pregnant. Now they fold out. I get to learn about all that process. And then she has 4 now Highland.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mini Highland. Yeah. And then she has the mini goats as well. I think I've got all of them in there. And they just had babies. So to watch them do all of that has just been fascinating. Like, I don't want to own a farm. I don't want to smell it. I don't want to do any part of it. But I'm fascinated. And here was the cool thing. The cool thing is my daughter was on the phone about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and she was on FaceTime with somebody, and she said, Mom, she said, my friend JC, her cat is having kittens, and I think there's a problem. And I was like, let me see it. Let me just see it. I have never had a cat. I'm allergic to cats. And I looked at it, I was like, no, that cat is coming out backwards. You're going to have to help it. You have to, do everything that you need to do and twist it around, and you just need to. Anyway, I talked her through delivering the cat because I've watched all of these things, sheep, goats, like all of them, the whole deal. And she was like, I like, how does your mom know how to do that? I'm like, dude, it just calms me every night. So I'm really excited about coming to see your Highland cow because I've never gotten to see one in person. So
yeah, they're so cute too.
I know.
Do you have any chickens?
No.
Oh,
They're loud. Okay, they're loud.
We have a fox.
a fox.
So
As a
there's a
pet?
wild.
No.
No.
Oh, wild fox.
Yeah, he would eat
So-
the chickens.
We
Yeah.
had
Yeah,
chickens.
We had chickens.
Oh, you had chickens.
Yeah.
And we
You
just
were
gave
feeding the
up.
other while ago. I know
Yeah.
how that is.
Okay, I'll get back on
He
track.
gonna try.
Yeah, I know, but this was like this. You're the first people I can just understand it. Okay, so business-wise, when did both of y'all know like this is really a business? Was there a point in time that you were like, okay,
I think-
I would say the very first couple of months once our website was up and we started, I mean, our first year out the gate, we had 25 weddings, 25 or 23. And we were like, okay, this is going to work.
Yeah.
So, and then
And we were
just-
taking birthday parties, baby
showers,
showers.
anniversaries.
And
stuff like
we
that.
don't
You
we don't
don't
do that anymore. But in the beginning, yeah, we were taking, of course, everything.
that came your way?
Yeah.
Yeah. And who decided to, for those who are watching and listening, tell us about some of the seasons that you have, opportunities, the fields that you plant, things like that, as far as the flower
Flowers.
section
And,
of your
yeah,
business.
and how that came about.
Yeah, I want to
too.
know. Yeah.
So North Carolina, that was me. North Carolina agritourism, they really support the farms. So it's called agritourism, and it's having events on your farm.
Okay.
And so we belong to North Carolina Agritourism Networking Association, and so you go and you meet all the other farmers, and you get ideas about what everybody's doing on their farms, and kind of like what you were talking about, it just like gives you ideas, but also like, oh my goodness, we went through this and different things like that. So we have belonged to this association since the very beginning, and a lot of people do U-Picks, but they do fruit or
Yeah, and a lot of them strawberries.
strawberries,
Yes.
yeah,
Blueberries.
pumpkin. So did not want to do any fruit. And so I love flowers. I just have a disease. I love them. I guess can't. And then I read an article about a farm, it's Burnside Farms in Virginia. They're way up by Washington, D.C., and they did a U-Pick tulip event. And I was like, oh, tulips. And so we started researching it. And we decided we would start with sunflowers. So that was our first U-Pick we did with sunflowers. It was really successful. We were like, wow. Like, I know that we're like an older generation. So like when our website got on and people like called us the next day, I'm like, how are these people? Like, it floors us that people know about us. And because we don't advertise, we don't have to pay to advertise so far. But, so it's crazy, social media, and I don't know how it gets out there. So we were really surprised how well the sunflowers did. And so we had already ordered our tulip bulbs, and then before we planted, we went and visited Burnside Farms, and they helped us out quite a bit. And we visited another farm in Rhode Island, Wicked Tulips, and they were both very helpful to us, and they still help us if we have any questions. And so our first year, we did 40,000 tulip bulbs, and just did not know how it would turn out, and it was amazing.
Well, let me just say.
I think it's amazing. So what do people do?
No, I was going to say that because from a photography standpoint, there's photography that happens because when she says that we plant, like there's fields. Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. It's like massive, and you're encompassed with the sunflowers, and so it makes beautiful pictures. Mm-hmm. And then the tulips in the spring when they come up, like it's just a perfect, and they rotate colors, like they're very.
So the U-Pick part of it, that's what I want to understand.
Yeah. Well, that's the public thing.
So
I'll let you answer.
What we do is, and he can tell you how we plant it, but we plant in rows. You could kind of see it when you were out there today when we were doing our cover crop. That's everywhere where it was plowed. That's where tulips will be next spring. So that's where we're going to plant in fall. And so people come. We do charge admission for them to come onto the farm, but they also get to visit all the farm animals, and I have like the venue and all the other gardens. So everything is open to when you come to the farm for the flower events. And then they can pick their own flowers. So they make a bouquet of flowers, and then we charge per stem of the tulips. But I think the tulips, hopefully, not too many farms are doing it. They're starting to now, but that's okay. We understand.
I mean, a lot of people do sunflowers.
They do it.
They don't do tulips around here.
Yeah, and the tulips are so beautiful as well. But what I like, especially, I see a lot of it along some of the roadways here in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Where there's maybe a section by an on-ramp, off-ramp that has quite a bit of flower, and I've seen that a lot here lately, and I really love it. What I want to do is go run out in the middle of it and take a picture. I need a good photographer.
I don't think
they
you can
don't
do
want
that.
you to do that.
In any case, that's still what I want to do. Yeah. I'm not saying that we do that.
The DOT does a really good job with that.
They do. It's very pretty.
It is. It is a beautiful thing.
So it's kind of creates just as a photographer. It always creates a magical moment depending on who your subject is, and you're able to just enjoy the beauty of the surroundings and snap that memory in time for them. And so
I think the tulips are just my favorite because it's spring.
Right.
Everything else is starting to green up and pop. And so, we've all had the winter, and we're done with the winter.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's magical because I love a tulip. Nothing prettier than a tulip. So.
Okay. Well, I haven't been during the tulip season. I've only been to
you got to come
the sunflower season, and then we've been able to come for engagement pictures that people had have wanted to do, not necessarily in the field, but. The outside, I used to, I don't know if you do this still, the porch that you are open to having people, and there's little pathways that you can go down, and it's just magical. It's like, it's magical.
Yeah.
I think that does, set us apart from the other farms. So we don't just plant a field of flowers. We're very particular on how we do it, and we row plant so that you can walk in between the rows, so you're not traipsing through the flowers. And I think it's prettier for pictures that way. And then we do try to get the whole venue's decorated too. So I try to do a lot with spring, especially if we're going to hit Easter, I'll do stuff for Easter too. But in the summer, the same thing. The gardens are really, really pretty. So not only can you be in the field of flowers, of the sunflowers, but then you can go up and we have a cabin that we decorate. I mean, there's all kinds. The front porch is very pretty.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's still to this day some of my favorite pictures of Mackenzie. I've got her really. All the girls we've gone out, and Daniel and I have taken our kids.
Well, I'm excited about going and because that's
So I want to get down.
Wait a minute. What about
Oh,
you? I thought I read you were going to do. Was it lavender or what?
Oh, we are doing lavender.
We can't forget about that.
Yes, that's right.
So,
He
so
came
tell me about
prepared
that.
today.
So we have a small patch of lavender, and I really like it. Lavender, it's beautiful, and it smells so good, and the bees love it. And so this year we had our biggest crop, and I had like all this lavender. I'm like, what are we going to do with this lavender? So we ended up selling a lot of it during our sunflower event. So because so many farms do sunflowers, we're always trying to figure out how to set ourselves apart from other farms. So our goal is to, we've ordered how many?
850.
850 lavender plugs. So not only do we have to plant 140,000 tulip bulbs this fall, we have to plant 800
So do you
lavender plugs.
Do you rotate the ground that you? How does that work?
For the tulips, yes, and sunflowers. The lavender is going to stay
Okay.
in the field. So that was my hiccup, was trying to figure out where I was going to plant the lavender because it does stay. But we figured that out.
You figured it out. Well,
Yeah.
okay. So I wanted to get to some business questions. So you said from the get-go you were really in the black the whole time that you've done that. What have you learned not to do throughout this process?
We've learned not to try to do it all. So, we were gung-ho on doing any kind of event you wanted to do at the farm. And then we figured out that, our time and our energy is limited.
Sure.
So we kind of curtailed it down to weddings. And then we, once we hit one year, we did like 44 weddings. And we're an outdoor venue. So that's from the beginning of April to the beginning of November. And that's a lot of weddings.
It's a lot of weddings. Yeah.
And we figured out real quick that's way too many weddings to do. But we figured out how many we could do. And so from that time on, which was about 2018 or so, 2017 is when we hit that number, we started scaling back. And then right now, since the tulips and the sunflowers and the Mother's Day tea and the other things that we do.
I didn't know about that.
So 2 years ago, we decided we're going to do 10 weddings a year.
Gotcha.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so that allows, because the tulip is a 2.5 week event. The sunflowers is about 2.5 weeks. And so, yeah.
And those are marathons. I mean, that's every day,
Yeah,
all
every
day.
day, all day long.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen you out there, and normally, especially with the sunflowers, it's hot.
It's hot.
It is.
It is just hot. It's almost full.
Yeah. So back to the lavender, just
Yeah.
really quick. So that's why we're trying to do our lavender and sunflowers together. So that means we're having to plant sunflowers early. So we're hoping to do that in mid-June instead of hot
Which this
July.
is a secret.
So this is
nobody else can know this.
Yeah, it's so secret. It's gonna totally stay that way, Art. Yeah. Do you realize what this is?
I know.
Okay.
He's kidding.
I was hoping she'd just skip over that.
Well, I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah. I mean,
So I think it would be beautiful. That way you're hitting like,
2 for 1.
2 for 1. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
and
lavender's just so calming and
Yeah, this has
Yeah.
become a big deal. We use lavender wool in the house for different things, and
yeah.
and
So
everything.
people would maybe get it to dry it.
right. So we're trying to still
I hate
figure
this.
that part out. Like actually, if there are some U-Pick lavender farms, but a lot of them do just pick the lavender and then sell them in bunches. I think we'll let people pick it, but then still you'll get a lot of products. So we still want to like distill it and get the oil and make products with it.
Oh, you do.
So,
And
Yeah.
how will that be? What are you laughing at?
Art's like, So that might have to be Eddie.
I don't know how
it's all
many people
good.
who own farms listen to us. It's
That's
really
true.
fine.
I think we're fine.
Your face is so
Yeah.
red right now, though.
He's like, shut up.
No, we're good.
No. All right.
Okay, I won't go
I'm
any-
not worried about the lavender because it's a lot of work.
It's going to be a lot of work.
So any flowers that are a lot of work, a lot of
I
farms
guess
don't do.
it's basically what we're all trying to always do. And it's like we don't have enough to do already. So let's
Do you have help at your farm now?
Yeah.
Sometimes. So we have the guys that used to work for us with the electrical, they would come on the weekends and help us. And we still have a couple guys come on the weekends. And then for our events, we have staff that
Sure.
does the
Help us
check in,
set
check
up.
out.
So what kind of big machinery do you have?
We have a couple of tractors, 50 horsepower size. One's a John Deere and one's a Zeter. And a really nice zero-turn mower and chainsaws. And
How long does it take you to mow what you have to mow a week? Or,
so we're very fortunate. We have a great neighbor, Mike Wilson, who mows the lawn around the house every week. And he takes care of the aerating, the seeding, the spraying, so that grass looks
it's
like it's
lush.
supposed to look.
It's lush.
So he's been doing that since the beginning, 2011.
Yeah. Wilson Landscaping.
Yeah.
Shout
So,
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
So the rest of it, we kind of mow as needed. So like the reflection garden, the orchard, the cutting garden, the pastures and the meadows and stuff, they all kind of, depending on what how much rain
Sure.
and how dry it is, it may need it every week or we skip a week or two.
Now,
So.
for all your animals, do you plant hay and bale that? Or
No, we purchase all of our hay from Apple Family Farm,
okay,
which
so,
is a blueberry farm over here on the.
so it's keeping it local.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
I love that. I had another question, but I
Well,
don't remember
I
what it
just
was.
want to know, like, you have this acreage here on a family farm that's going to come up on being 100 years old, which is amazing. But to be able to create a business on that property to provide for yourself and to
And
be a help
still
and blessing
they
in the
live
community,
there.
and you live there. I mean, what does that mean to you? I mean, it keeps it going, obviously. I mean, you've talked about, what, 3 generations?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think it means it's probably I'm most proud of that as I am anything else I've ever done. I mean, my mom and dad can sit on the front porch and literally watch hundreds of people a day come in during a tulip
that has to be
or
proud for them. too.
another
Right.
event.
Yeah.
That's really
so,
sweet.
and they look at each other like, I wish my mom and dad could have seen this
Yeah.
because, it was a dirt poor tobacco farm. It's got the worst tobacco soil you've ever seen. So,
Then I read it raised some sugar cane or something. In
yeah,
it.
they actually, Dad always called it sugar cane, but it's actually sorghum
Yep.
that they would press. And they had a cane press on the farm. And they press and make molasses.
Yes.
And they'd have a pressing day for other farmers that would either have a small batch of sorghum or whatever, and they would bring it, and everybody would bring a covered dish dinner. And we actually had a older lady that was a member of our church that came, and we did a hayride. What kind of event was that? But she started talking to the people on the hayride about when she was a girl, her coming with her parents to a press day at that farm. And I thought that
gotta
was
make you feel
Yeah, I think it's really cool.
so
because,
cool.
Yeah.
No.
And South Louisiana is big on that.
Yeah.
And I know even within our family, the Adams family, we have gotten some molasses that's kind of done in a little family.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You need to ask Jonathan about that. Yeah, it was just really a neat thing.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool you have that up here.
So what about moving forward? Who is? Wait, I can tell by that little look on your face. Who's going to take over it one day?
So we have 3 children, and they're all happy and content doing what they're doing. We have 3 grandchildren, and they're, ages 3, 10, and 12. So there's time for them to figure things out.
You're teaching them right now.
Well, yeah. And the 2 girls can drive some tractors. Yeah.
I want to come drive some tractors.
Yeah, they can drive a stick shift.
I don't know if I should mention that since they're underage, but
No.
anyhow.
No.
There's no police on here.
It's
They don't have
family.
time.
You can do that with family
Yeah,
on
it's
the
on
farm.
the farm. There's
Yeah.
no exception.
So I see Wendy and I a good another 10 years being totally tweaking
Independent.
things out.
Yeah.
And even after that. So we're hopeful that somebody is going to have a passion for it. Because you want to do this.
Yeah.
You don't want to feel like you
Obviously.
have to do it.
Yeah.
So it has to stay a Centurion farm. Caroline, which is Art's daughter, will have to take
it
over. But even if she just does, she's the one. She lives in Michigan, but we're trying to pull her home. And then and we call them our children, but then our son, he's a DJ, and so but he's real interested in the event side of it,
Oh.
and where Caroline and her husband would be interested in the farming side.
So it could still be
So
totally.
we feel like
collaborative.
somebody, and then our other daughter she's a PA, so she's really not, and she can't grow a thing. So she's not interested in that way, but she would be interested in, doing the books or something. So I feel like between the 3 of them, and then our, especially our one granddaughter Reagan, she would be interested. So
After they figure out how fun real life is.
Oh,
yeah,
I know.
let them come back.
They think they know. But we share not between us, but I have 6 and we're blended. So I understand that. And yours is not, it is blended.
Yeah, just not.
Not as blended as mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has 6 as well.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
I know. And they are all in that, or other than your older children, but our younger, like 19, 20-year-olds, they are just, they're experiencing life a little bit on their own, and they're seeing what things cost, they're seeing what it takes, and they definitely are just digging in to our home life.
Yeah,
And
I think it's difficult too for a lot of I know for my kids, I owned a business of my own. I was a tile contractor, so we did more custom upper end tile work. And then my wife had her own business. She helped me with mine as well, and I helped hers with hers. But one of the things I found with my kids, they were living that life, and a lot of times they didn't want anything to do with it afterward. You know, even some of them working. I know 3 of my kids work for me in the tile business, and actually it's funny. My daughter Kaylee she loved it. She would mix mud, and it was crazy. Do all kinds of stuff, and I think she's somebody that may have wanted to stay in it.
Yeah.
But some of my other kids are like, no, we don't want anything to do with that.
But I do think that, especially, I think what I was trying to be more concise in saying is that the generation of 17, 18 to like 24, 25, I think they're under so much pressure to just know what they are supposed to be already. And hopefully our homes independently, and Daniel has 2 as well, at the same ages, our homes are set up for them to be able to experiment and be safe and cushioned in a good way. And what I'm noticing is none of them want to go into photography at all, but they do want to do other parts of our lives, with us. And so I think that's really cool that y'all have a place that, well, maybe, like you said, maybe this son wants to DJ and do events, and then your daughter wants to do more of the planting side and then accounting side. So what y'all have been able to do on your own together, together, it's at least going to take 3 other people to do what you 2 have done, at least. And that's kind of, that's speaking to your work ethic for sure. So let me ask you a little bit about, I want to come drive a tractor.
let me know when you want to come.
Are you for real? Because
Yeah.
I told my husband last week, I really want to drive a tractor. And you know what? I asked him to rent me a Bobcat for the day. I did.
I'm going to be renting an excavator in about 2 weeks. So
Please. And he told me, he was like, baby, that Bobcat would just, shake you around and do all that. I said, I don't care. I want to do that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
just
Yeah.
let
Okay.
Miss Wendy know.
Okay, Wendy. It's
Okay.
you and me.
All right.
So what would you say the pitfalls of the business have been? Like for a business, so purely, I know you said taking on more than you could handle as far as the wedding and knowing when to slow down. That's one thing. Is there anything that you feel like, well, financially that wasn't a smart move, or, I should have hired that part out? Is there any of those kind of, I wish I had of? Wow.
I don't.
We do a lot of, especially from fall all the way through spring, because it's winter. And we spend a lot of time together, and we talk constantly about ideas and plans. And we're pretty realistic with each other of like, that's not going to work, or, I'm on board with it, or we're both on board with it. So I think that helps us both not to just rush off and buy 850 lavender plugs, but
You decided that together. You just said it.
We did, and we researched it first. We do try to do a lot of research, or reach out to other farms that might be doing similar things, not in our area, but in trying to get what they did, how they did it. Art's really good about researching how to plant, what to plant.
How do you check? Do you check the soil for different?
So I know people talk about checking your pH or getting a soil test and sending it off and stuff. But with what we're doing, a tulip needs nothing other than a really good bulb, because we're just using it for one season. And it really doesn't need to stay soaking wet. That's all it asks.
Wow.
So it doesn't really need anything special.
Okay.
We don't even fertilize them.
Really?
Really don't.
Okay.
So it's just like the guy at Wicked Tulips. He says, you get a really good bulb, grade A bulb, it's going to give you one perfect flower as long as you don't drown it.
Nice.
So, and we've found out that's pretty much true. Sunflowers, throw a little 10 fertilizer on it. If that, I haven't fertilized sunflowers in a couple of years because we are rotating and we're doing cover crops, which provides enough for that. So we're not staying in the same spot all the time. So.
I just
So,
wondered.
yes,
Some of them
if I
say
really-
like this doesn't have enough nitrogen in it,
Right.
or this, and I watch other farmers from Canada, and they do the cover crops. They also do soybeans. They do corn and different things like that. And seeing them plant it, harvest it, and then it has to be a certain moisture or temperature and go in the dryer.
Right. It's a
Things like
lot.
that. It's a lot. And I feel like they're almost a slave to their property. And I'm glad that they put it on YouTube because it's very, informative. But that's not y'all's case. No. Okay. Well, good for you.
Once we plant, and I guess that was a big learning curve, planting the tulip bulbs. Once we got to 100,000, we did buy a machine.
Okay.
And so, and Art's like, don't tell him. Anyway, it came from Poland. And so, that was just funny because, not really funny, but we needed help. And the guy, one, the time difference, and then the language barrier, we really struggled our very first year. So that was difficult because then we were running out of time. We had to get these bulbs in the ground. So that's been stressful. That's happened to us a couple times, or it's just been too wet to plant. Yeah. And so it's like almost December, and we're like, oh my gosh, we've got to get these bulbs in.
When you're spending a lot of money to get really nice bulbs, you know, because they're not like sunflower seeds. They're not inexpensive.
Right.
You know, you're getting a tractor trailer come in and you're unloading these pallets of bulbs, and hopefully we've learned to get all the prep work done before that happens. Mm-hmm. So, you know, about mid-October, we start prepping the field about a month. Well, we're actually prepping now. What you saw us doing, we're actually throwing a little cover crop on so it's going to be tilled in. So we've gotten all that ready so that when about the first week of November, when that tractor trailer arrives, we are within a window. As soon as we have a dry window of weather and it's going to be good, we can go. And it's whatever it takes. They got to go in the ground.
So there's a lot of planning and timing has to be right. All that. I have a dumb question. Sunflowers, because I'm a sunflower seed nut.
Yeah.
I love those. Is it the same or different? I didn't think it was. Just listen.
So the sunflower seeds you buy to eat and consume, that's a production sunflower, like they grow out in the Midwest and stuff.
The big farms.
Okay.
You know, they're the really big ones that have the large
big head.
foot diameter heads, so that seed is fairly big. What we're planting is what is called a pro cut flower, and it's a bouquet flower. So it has no pollen on it, so that it doesn't get on you and make a yellow mess. The bees still love it, and it's, you know, we get our seeds from Sunflower Select, which is in California, and they do really well.
Yeah.
Nothing against Johnny Seeds, but we've
I don't know who that
gotten a
is,
really
but-
good product from them. And
How big do those get?
they're usually
like,
anywhere from 6.
Pull up an
We even get
I've
some
seen
smaller
pictures.
ones.
A lot of times when I think of sunflowers, I think of the sunflower seeds, and I go back to when I planted some of those myself, and I had big heads with all the seeds on them, and I was like, man, I was so proud. And then the next day, and they had got up as tall as I was, 6 foot, and the next day I went out, and all of the heads were on the ground. I mean, all of them.
Is that
I had
how
like
it does?
24 plants. I'm like, what is going on here? So I got educated about cutworms. Around
All
the
the way
stem
around.
on everyone, and
We don't have that problem.
yeah, that was bad experience. Another bad experience. You bring
But
up my
yeah,
bad
I mean,
experiences.
I don't know. So
Sister-in-law.
what do y'all do for fun?
We tour other farms.
I love this.
Our gardens. We love to go places that have gardens.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we just, that's
Yeah.
mainly what we don't like the beach. We like the mountains, but
We like the mountains. We used to horseback ride.
yeah, we
but
used
we've
to horseback ride. Getting too old.
That's getting too much. Kind of
Jostling
like going
around.
camping. You know, you got to get so much done to get ready to go camping.
By the
And
time
then-
you're there, you're too tired to
and then
enjoy it.
when you get home, you've got so much to clean up and get. Well, so we've kind of removed that
If
part.
you go out of town, though, is it difficult to get somebody to watch all the animals?
We've got really good people.
Yeah, we have a lady that actually got married on our farm, and she's worked at other barns and stuff, and so and she lives on our street. So she usually watches the animals in the winter. She'll feed for us because, you know, when you have to pull in the horses into the barn or like the hay and stuff, it just needs somebody that's familiar with animals. And then in the summer, the same staff that helps us during our flower events, they'll come and feed, and then they water. So that's a big thing is
huge.
watering for us.
So the horses don't have like automatic waterers that go in. You just have to hand do it.
Yeah.
We like to make sure it's fresh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And we
'Cause
have
a lot of
great
times you gotta
neighbors.
Clean the water tubs out.
Yeah. They all know when we're gone, and they'll go and watch our animals, make sure they all have water and stuff. So
I completely, I'm not just saying this, like, I love every part of this whole discussion. And I really value and respect what you are doing because, it's your hand in that soil, and, you know what went into that, and you've committed to that land. And your forefathers committed to that land, and you have absolutely honored that. And so it's very cool to hear what a 99-year-old farm is still doing. And next year's what month next year will
It'll be about March 25th.
So it will be during
was when
tulips.
the deed was signed.
It's going to be during tulips?
It'll be during tulips.
I want to put our name in the hat for being your official photographer for your tulips and 100-year celebration.
All right, absolutely.
Okay, so
Yep.
name in the hat for that. Well, y'all, how is the best way for people to contact you?
Through email, or they can message me on Facebook. Our website has like a way to contact us, has our phone number
And
too.
what is that website, just so we make sure?
DewberryManor.com.
Okay, and then your Facebook is also Dewberry. I cannot say it.
Yeah.
Dewberry Farm.
Our Facebook is Dewberry Farms. There
Okay.
is a Dewberry Farm in Texas, which they do get us confused sometimes. But yeah, just make sure it's North Carolina.
Okay, we definitely will.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you for taking the time. I mean, you literally were in the field and you came in here to
They were, I can vouch.
talk.
Thank goodness this was scheduled.
I know.
Well, we could say we've got to go.
Yeah, we got it. We're done.
Well,
No, but
it
we
is-
appreciate you having us.
Yes.
And I don't want to make it sound like everything's been rosy and stuff, but we've learned along the way.
Yeah.
I mean, we've come a long way from the weddings and stuff. And so,
Let me add one more question on that. How involved now are you with the weddings, or do you just have trusted coordinators that do that part of the business?
we've always had wedding coordinators from the very beginning. Is my sister is one.
Okay.
And then a few years ago, we took on another one. So they kind of alternate. So we're still very involved because it's somebody's wedding, and I feel like they've come. I do the tours, so we've gotten to know them, and I just feel like if we weren't there, it would be a disservice to the people that have trusted us. So we're still there. We do have
You're
people set
amazing.
up for us, but Art's still out there with I tell them how we want it set up, and so. Yeah, that's just something I don't feel like we can let go, and that's why we've just decided to scale back over taking them and us being burnt out or not giving 100% to the people that have trusted us. That's a special day.
It is a special day. Absolutely. I know as photographers, we only take a small amount of weddings a year, and because I want to give everything we have to that, and it's a large responsibility to take on for everyone involved, but it's the coordinators, the photography, because when you're dealing with a bride and groom, you've talked to them probably a year, or sometimes more, sometimes just a little bit less, and they have this thing of how they want it to go, and it never goes the way that they say it. Ever.
Never.
Right.
Ever. And so as a photographer, not wanting to miss the moments that they've told us they wanted to see for a year and what we found is that we get to that point and everything goes out the window. But if we don't get those shots in 2 days, they're going to say, where's that shot?
Right.
So the stress level rises because we know what an important kind of thing that is. So Daniel and I realized pretty quickly that we would only take select weddings per year because I want to do it right.
Right.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
That's going to be their main source of memory
Yeah.
is the pictures.
But
So.
in the moment, they have so many other things distracting them, and so we've also done better, I think, at preparing, which I think you've probably got that down pat too, to prepare your client for expectations on that particular day.
Right.
And I would say, do you give them options if it does rain, if it doesn't rain? So, I mean, you've come up with the ways.
Yeah, we do a pre-wedding meeting, usually about 3 weeks before their wedding, and that's when they meet the wedding coordinator. Up to that point, it's always just Art or I. And so going over all of that and the expense, and obviously for everything that we do is weather dependent. Like
Sure.
weather can break it or make it for us. So it's always, nobody wants it to rain on their wedding, but it does.
That's good luck.
That's what I've heard.
It rained on ours.
Aw, I can't remember. I didn't, but I don't think it rained on.
It didn't
Anyway.
rain. I was there. I remember. It was beautiful. I think it's amazing to be able to have property that's been in the family that long, and then to be able to use it to make a living, to leave a legacy.
That's what you're
I
really
felt
doing.
that today. I can't wait to get property. That's one of the things up here. We've been looking and waiting and learning the area,
Right.
because I like property, and that's cool.
Did you ever buy more than 3.5 acres, or is that?
Yes, we did. So after Wendy and I married, we purchased some from a cousin of mine who had gotten some through his dad, who had passed on.
Okay.
So we got like 6.5 acres from Chris, and then Dad had gotten some of the land through his settlement of the estate. So we purchased the rest. We currently have 20 acres, and we purchased from Dad what we needed to make up that, and then when the time comes, we're going to have Mom and Dad's place and the barn, because that's still theirs. Although we get to use the barn, she's turned it into a cutting garden for bouquet cuts, and we're also
We didn't
going
even cover this.
I
No,
know. That's it.
to do a farm store.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. That's the whole lavender products. That you
Oh,
want me to
I
mention.
was going to ask about that, but then when you were like, no, I was like, what kind of products are you going to make? And then it was a hard no right there. But that's okay. I feel you. That's exciting. That's really exciting. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I want to again thank you for coming on.
Thank
and
you.
then
Thank you for
I
having
wanna-
us.
I want to say to our viewers, thank you for listening in or viewing us. If you haven't, follow, subscribe to Legacy Podcast Studio. You can find that exactly like that on all of the social medias. Look for our episode drops every Tuesday.
Yep.
And you can depend on that. So get those notifications on so you can see when we drop a new episode. Also, if you are interested in having your own podcast and coming in here and saying, I don't want to purchase all the equipment, but I have things I would like to say, we have it all ready for you. So please take advantage and message us if you have a business that you want to talk about and you're a small business owner or leader. We would love to have you as a guest. So message us and find out a little bit more of how to do that. And then, unless you have anything to say,
I don't.
thanks, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.